Carl and Liam here from Games, Brains, and a Head-Banging Life. And we're getting goosebumps with episode number 8 of season 1. Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. And the book looks something like this.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Do you remember that cover?
Yeah, I do actually. It's got like the hands on there.
Yes.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I was quite pleased to find that one. Yeah, this episode is a vast improvement over the previous one we did. It's got a cool, interesting story, interesting twists, some damn good effects, in particular around one area. And I just found I enjoyed it. I found the 20 minutes kind of flew by faster than they normally do.
Yeah, this is a really good episode. I think it's one that sticks with me when I think of Goosebumps. This is one that will like pop into the head in terms of like remembering it. It's a memorable episode, and it's one that I remember also being shown a lot on TV. It was a very common one to be shown.
Cool, let's get started then. And the episode begins with a young boy in a basement on the phone. He appears to be on the phone to the authorities and is saying that the fate of the world depends on him. While on the phone, the door at the top opens and someone begins to descend slowly. Remember how Goosebumps starts off? This is our first sort of scary part. He tells the person on the phone to hurry, then hides. We then immediately change shots to reveal it's his mother. And they are moving boxes in the basement and the phone doesn't actually work.
He's coming! He's coming! Help me!
Jerry, who you talking to?
No one, Mom.
Honey, please stop fantasizing and try to concentrate on what I asked you to do. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. There isn't actually the usual jump scare black screen part you get with Goosebumps at this one.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously knew you were expecting it at this point, so it's more of a surprise for it not to happen.
Yes, we should add, I didn't say at the start, this is directed by William Fruet, who would also direct odd episodes here and there.
Oh, right.
Yes. They've just moved into a new house. The boy, Jerry, played by Ben Cook, has a very active imagination. He really fucking does. As the moment his mother leaves the basement, he starts playing a brand new game. But he is disturbed by the sound of a piano playing Moonlight Sonata. It's any Resident Evil fan knows this fucking tune off by heart.
Yep.
It's in the corner. The piano's in the corner of the basement and it's playing by itself, which is kind of cool. It stops when Jerry pulls the sheet covering it off. And unlike any other Goosebumps episode, this one just goes straight for it. As he plays around, but we see a ghostly apparition of a woman appear behind him. This ghost being played by Brenda Devine. But yeah, I was generally like, oh, it's a ghost.
Yeah, it wasn't screwing around. It wasn't like I said, a false scare. It was something, a legit ghost just there right in front of him. And yeah, I mean, we can talk about the effect. Obviously, it looks dated, but I think the woman is kind of creepy looking, as far as creepy ghosts go.
There are points in it where she gets very up close to the camera and a little part of me flashback. There's a particular point where she gets really up. She kind of runs towards the camera and gets up really close. And I couldn't help but go, well, that reminds me of Pet Sematary.
Yeah, exactly.
Jerry backs up and bumps into the ghost, only it's not a ghost now, it's his father holding boxes. His father automatically loves the piano, as would anybody if you found a new home and it was like, oh, there's a piano here. Awesome, I'm keeping that. But of course, he doesn't believe Jerry when he says he heard it playing in his own. And he tells his father he's not interested in it as he has a life, and then goes back to make his make-believe game, which did make me go, you're right, kid, maybe not. He overhears his parents talking about his imagination later. His father suggests he's not normal, which I was like, oh, come on, Dad, chill out, man.
Yeah, a bit extreme.
Just a bit. But he takes his dad's words to heart and goes outside to play baseball with himself, imagining it's like a full baseball game, picture to this, He misses his catch and the ball is grabbed by Kim, played by Erica Luttrell, who lives across the street. He then randomly tells her about the piano, and she says a piano teacher used to live there. Ooh. She then suggests they could play together at some point in the future, and wanting to impress her, he agrees and says he has started taking piano lessons. After he goes to his parents with an ad for piano lessons he saw in the paper, his parents are really pleased. It's like, oh, sweet, our weirdo kid is going to have a hobby. He wants to take piano lessons. Let's do this. Yeah, all sensible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Later, he's woken up by the sound of the piano playing Moonlight Sonata again. This piano knows one song and one song alone, and it's just playing it.
Well, I don't have to pay any money for any, actual song, do they?
Yeah, true.
It's probably like a public domain or something.
Probably you're right. I'd have to look into it, but you're probably right, I think. He goes to the basement and sees the ghost from earlier playing. This is the part where she gets up close. She turns around, she warns him to stay away, and she kind of comes really rushing forward to the kind of camera. And like Liam said, the effect isn't great. It doesn't hold up, but I think it was okay. She's kind of got like what's supposed to be like dead skin almost.
Yeah, she looks. I mean, it looks like a ghost. She's got like a sort of that whole aura thing going on. She's kind of like invisible, and yes, it's what you would think a ghost would look like, I suppose.
Agreed.
Stay away. Dad? Stay away!
Jerry calls for his father. The ghost disappears, and when he comes down, obviously Jerry is not believed. The story of Goosebumps episodes. Kid says something happened, parents do not believe.
Yep. Parents are so dumb.
Yeah. En route to his piano lessons, Jerry tries to tell his mother about it, but she doesn't want to know. They pull up outside the location, which is called the Shriek School, which for me was like, that's a little bit on the nose, guys. A little bit too much. You can then hear a lot of piano playing coming from outside. When they approach, a computer voice greets them, and Jerry decides to act like they're entering a mad scientist's lair, playing another game.
Mm-hmm.
We then meet Dr. Shriek, who's played by Aaron Taggart, who has had an incredible career. I looked at his filmography. Dude is a star.
Yeah, I'm really fond of the actor because actually he has a very reoccurring role in Are You Afraid of the Dark as a character called Dr. Vink, and he appears in like a number of episodes in Are You Afraid of the Dark. And
I knew it.
He plays eccentric like fantastically well, and he's really eccentric in this episode.
When I saw him, I couldn't place it, but when I saw him, I kept picturing like a cabin in the woods and him being a bit of a weirdo. And I was like, where is that from?
Yeah, there's the very first episode I think of Are You Afraid of the Dark is the Phantom Cab or whatever, and
That's the one.
He's in that episode. He's the guy he's like in a cabin in the woods that helps them out, or like gives them some riddles or something. But yeah, he has a reoccurring role throughout the show, and he appears like a number of times. And I like the actor a lot. I think he's really good.
Yeah, and in this, he does light up the screen. He is very unusual looking fellow as well. And as you already said, the eccentric behavior really works quite nicely.
Scene stealer.
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly like as he starts to check out Jerry's hands in a very weird way and tell him that he can become a great student on the piano. What do you make of all the hand stuff in this episode?
What you think? Maybe that's some sort of fetish going on or something.
Well, it's just the kid kind of just goes along with it, but like it's just constantly like, oh, your hands are beautiful, your hands are great,
Yeah, but I think like it's clever because it sort of does make sense in a way that if you were going to play piano, that your teacher would want you to take care of your hands because of how important they are for using the instruments. So it's kind of like subtle. It's just like a line, and it's like how if it goes too creepy, it crosses the line. But it's like does make a little bit of sense. But maybe he's like going a bit too far. But it's kind of like you understand why the little boy isn't too thrown off by it in a way.
Have you ever played an instrument before, Mr. Hawkins?
Can play Stairway to Heaven on the kazoo.
The piano is considerably more demanding. But with hands like these, I'm sure you'll be a perfect student.
Agreed.
Obviously, like the whole hand obsession thing is obviously creepy.
Of course. But no, I agree with what you're saying. Jerry's mother leaves. Jerry queries the prison-like style of the school, and Dr. Shriek says it's for security and the work of the janitor, Mr. Toggle, who can apparently build anything.
Yeah, I like that subtle nod to the conclusion of the episode, a little twist at the end.
To be fair, though, it is a subtle nod, but I could never. This is one of those twists, not quite as bad as Welcome to Camp Nightmare, but where I couldn't really have seen it coming.
No, it is a great twist when you do figure out what it is. But I think that's quite clever to go back and rewatch it, and when you know what it's going to be, to him to say that, it's a nice little nod towards it.
Jerry and Dr. Shriek begin their lesson, and Dr. Shriek seems to be suffering from what looks like Parkinson's, because he shakes a little bit. And when Jerry notices it, Dr. Shriek gets kind of weird about his hands again, but says, like, my hands aren't very good. And I kind of like, I felt a little sorry for him almost there. It's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
As Jerry starts to play the notes, Dr. Shriek sets a metronome off, and then we just jump to the lesson being over. Jerry is leaving and for some reason decides to play another game. He pretends he's an adventurer exploring and ends up in the basement. It was basically a reason to get him down the stairs.
Yeah.
He gets scared by a crappy looking robot and runs down the hallway thinking it's chasing him. It's here he meets Mr. Toggle, who's played by gbhblofficial, who introduces him to the robot, which is basically a floor sweeper. He seems like a decent enough guy, which does make a change. He does make a joke about having programmed Dr. Shriek to say good things about him, though. At home, Jerry is practicing his scales and wind blows over him. He seems to get possessed and start to play the piano really, really well. He then collapses on it and we see the regular ghost, leave his body. Yeah. I like the scene.
It's good.
Yeah. But it was a dream. It was a dream. As he wakes up to the sound of you-know-what playing, Moonlight Sonata being played in the basement of the house. He goes down there. The ghost is there. This time she warns him that he will suffer and that he should stay away from Shriek's goal. So she's getting a little bit clearer in what she actually wants him to do, which is nice.
Yeah. Be clear, stupid ghost.
Yes.
She'll understand your message. Stop scaring him.
He screams.
Such as when it turns out in the end, we do find out, spoiler, but she's not actually like an evil ghost. It's like, why are you scaring him the whole time then? I mean, you look creepy, but it's not your fault. But like, stop jumping at him and shit.
When we get to that, we'll ask you something that did confuse me and see if you can make sense of it. Anyway, he screams and his parents come down. It's the same shtick we've seen before. His parents don't believe him, especially as when they look over, a cat has come through the window and jumps down on the piano. Bad timing.
Yep.
The next day at breakfast, his parents tell him they're worried about him and they're considering sending him to a doctor. Jerry says he doesn't want to go back to the Shriek school, but his parents ask him to give it one more try. So Jerry, not wanting to go to a doctor's or anything like that, agrees and is dropped off at the school by his mother. Runtime alone of the episode will tell you that we're at the end game here. In the school, Dr. Shriek is trying to teach Jerry to play, but Jerry is getting tired and keeps making mistakes. Then when Jerry goes to bite one of his fingers in frustration, Dr. Shriek freaks out and starts rubbing his fingers and panicking. He then gets angry and hits the piano.
Stop that! Your hands are precious. Precious. You must take good care of them. Don't you realize what potential you have? I will not tolerate a student who's not serious about his studies.
It's like, all right, calm down, doctor.
See, that's the line I was talking about, man. He's crossed it.
Yes, the line is here.
Yeah.
He calms down, apologizes, but as he walks around the piano, Dr. Shriek, he collapses to his knees. Jerry asks him if he's okay. Dr. Shriek says he's fine and gets up. But did you notice, as he's getting up, if you listen really carefully, you can hear the sound of whirring. Really?
There's like a mechanical sound? No, I didn't catch that. But
yeah, like he almost powers back up, because I had headphones on when I was doing my notes, and I went back and re-listened to it. I thought it was a very subtle touch.
That's clever.
Because Dr. Shriek then begins to freak out and insists that he must have Jerry's hands. Jerry manages to break free and starts to run away. He's chased downstairs to the basement as Dr. Shriek seems to be having a meltdown behind him. This is a funny chase just for Dr. Shriek.
Yeah, shouting after him and stuff.
Beautiful hands! Beautiful hands!
Did you notice as well? And obviously it's tied into the fact that what we're about to find about Dr. Shriek, but Jerry, when he's having to stop and open doors, obviously that's delaying the chase. So Dr. Shriek, the actor's having to slow down to obviously not catch him.
Yeah.
So he's kind of throwing himself around a bit as if he's malfunctioning. And I was like, that's quite a cool touch.
That's true. Yeah, because otherwise he definitely would have caught him.
Yeah. Jerry's looking for Mr. Toggle and runs into a room as we get the first of one of many reveals. It's filled with pianos and hands playing them. Just hands, smooth at the wrist. And I thought the effect was quite decent.
Yeah, it's a very memorable scene of the disembodied hands like slamming down on each of the piano. And it looks good, you know, otherwise they're not going to show like a bloodied stump, of course.
Obviously,
yeah, you know, it holds up and it looks good. I think it's a memorable scene.
Agreed. And straight away we continue as Dr. Shrek bursts in and they struggle. Mr. Toggle arrives and uses a controller to turn Dr. Shriek off. He was a robot, hammered home by his broken robot hand staying attached to Jerry's arm. So yeah, there's another major quick reveal in quick succession.
Yep.
Yeah.
What a twist.
I was still not done. Mr. Toggle frees him and explains that they're all robots. And Jerry, admittedly, didn't love this. Jerry just is like, huh, okay, yeah, why not? That's fine. That's not weird. Mr. Toggle wants to see Jerry's hands and now reveals himself to be the actual villain. He needs Jerry's hands as, check this madness out, hands are too hard to build apparently. Too many moving parts is what he says. Now, part of me goes, he is right. Our hands are very special and specific. And I was like, but you can do every other part of the body. Every other part of the body. Feet as well and legs and...
Yeah, he can basically make a very convincing human robot, you know, and presumably Dr. Shriek could play the piano in some capacity because he taught Jerry at these lessons, right? So he must be able to build hands in some way. Strange,
right? Yeah, I thought it was odd because it never really explains what the purpose of the hands are or why the disembodied hands are there.
You? It's you, not Dr. Shriek!
I need your hands, Jerry.
You're nuts! Why do you need my hands?
To make beautiful music. Hands are just too hard to build. Too many moving parts.
So he can make like a robotic brain that can like function and be like so convincing it's almost like real life, like a real human, but hands are where it troubles him, man. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, indeed. As they struggle, Jerry is flung back to reveal the ghost was piggybacking all along, and she was a piano teacher. Apparently too hard on Mr. Toggle, as she was his piano teacher. I found her voice to be really grating here. Like they're putting this wavery thing on here. I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's weird.
She tells Mr. Toggle that it's time for his lesson and he backs off into the darkness crying. Jerry uses this opportunity to escape. So here it is. For me, so much this makes no sense. Where, as I already said, where did all the other hands come from in the room? Where did all those other hands come from? Because that's a lot of fucking victims. A lot.
Yeah,
why?
so, yeah.
Go on. So, no, yeah, go on.
No, so why does it confuse you? How do you mean? Like, where did they come from?
Yeah, like presumably there were other people who had their hands taken, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of bodies. There's a lot of people who've lost their hands.
Yeah, it's a lot of missing people that would be difficult to hide, especially if the building was investigated in any way. They would probably find this room of disembodied hands.
Well, yeah, exactly that. So there's that. Then we have the, why was the ghost missing hers? Now, I never noticed until the end scene, but hers were nubs. Her wrists were nubs.
Yeah. Yeah, it was,
why were they missing?
I guess when she got her hands chopped off, it killed her, you know? So she's like a victim.
Right. That, again, almost makes sense. Except for this. I then got confused over who the actual villain was. Because the ghost implies that she was cruel to Mr. Toggle.
That's true, actually. He's like getting all upset that like she, you know, really kept pushing him and stuff like that. And she was really mean to him or something.
Yeah,
that's true.
And we'll get that at the end as well. So I was just a bit like, oh my God, what is going on? But anyway, Jerry gets outside as his parents arrive to pick him up. For some reason, wind has picked up, papers are coming flying out of the door. And as his parents get in, we get an up-close look at the ghost because she comes swooping out, comes up really close to the camera, moaning and groaning, and the parents see it as well.
Mm.
Sometime later, Jerry is playing with Kim and talking about the events. I did like this. Apparently his parents are the ones seeing a psychiatrist now.
Yeah, I think it's quite an amusing conclusion there.
Yeah.
They're in therapy. I find that
Yes.
quite funny. Yeah.
Obviously, they've gotten rid of the piano. And they after Jerry catches a ball, now the acting in this one has been really, really good.
Yeah.
Except here. And it's what Kim compliments him on his hands. The dialogue, the scene, oh, great hands. It's so badly delivered. I generally couldn't believe the director didn't go, let's do that again.
Yeah, that's just one of those two on the nose type moments, isn't it?
And the episode ends with the school, which now appears to be run down, desolate. And in the basement, we see Mr. Toddle is being forced to play the piano by the ghost, who says that he'll play it for eternity. And I was like,
How much longer? Till eternity.
who's the bad guy? You're both bad. You're not good.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point then, I guess.
Hmm.
But I found it quite like an amusing conclusion. But not just the parents being in therapy part, but just him like being forced to play the piano like for all eternity. I something about that just like tickled me. I don't know why.
No, I agree. I thought overall it was a very strong episode. It was entertaining, good acting, some clever ideas.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. I probably would, if we were ever going to do a top 10, I think this would be in there on the top 10 episodes. I think it's a really solid episode all around. It's got, it's got a good creepy factor going on with the ghost and the, good performances. That's got memorable moments. It's got a bit, and it's got like good music. Eternal Sonata is a nice song. So it's got it all, man.
Actually, it was weird because of the Resident Evil Association. Moonlight Sonata actually added an extra creep factor for me because I associate that song so heavily with horror.
Definitely, yeah.
But I agree. I really liked it. I don't know where I'd rank it at this point because of what we've watched so far and what we're going to be seeing over the rest of this season. But I certainly will put it up there as one of the better ones so far.
We'll have to do a top 10 at the end. Decide which ones we like the most.
Oh no, we will be doing something. It won't be a top 10, but we will be doing something.
Cool.
There you go. Let us know your thoughts of this episode in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?